Artificial intelligence is advancing faster than even Bill Gates expected, and the Microsoft co-founder says the world may be underestimating both the upside and the disruption coming from it. While in an interview given to the New York Times, Bill Gates reiterated what he said in a blog, that AI could accelerate scientific discovery. It can help develop new medicines, improve energy systems, and potentially eradicate diseases. But the economic transition could be far more disruptive. Gates says that AI could permanently reduce the number of good jobs available because the technology is changing the structure of work itself. And that is where his warning becomes sharper. He argues that tech executives privately understand how quickly AI is advancing, but have an incentive to play down the risk publicly. And the reason is because there is enormous money riding on the AI race. Gates says that executives know that sounding the alarm could make it harder to raise the next $1 trillion, which is needed to build AI models, chips, data centers, and power infrastructure. But Gates' warning comes at a complicated moment for the technology industry. And this is because some of the loudest voices in AI have themselves shifted their messaging on jobs. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei had previously warned that AI could eliminate half of entry-level white-collar jobs within 1 to 5 years and push unemployment sharply higher. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman had also warned that AI could eventually put even highly skilled white-collar jobs at risk. But both executives have since moderated their language. Altman has said that he was pretty wrong about AI's economic impact on white-collar work. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang takes an even more optimistic view, arguing that AI will primarily eliminate tasks rather than entire jobs. And at the same time, there is evidence that companies are already experimenting with exactly the kind of workforce restructuring that Gates fears. A Reuters investigation found that Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg launched an internal initiative which was aimed at reorganizing the company around AI agents, with plans that could have reduced some team sizes by as much as 60%. Meta ultimately scaled back part of the plan after productivity problems and employee resistance. And there is a very clear reason why the AI race is unlikely to slow down. It's money. The scale of capital flowing into artificial intelligence is unprecedented. Gartner estimates global AI spending will reach about $2.59 trillion in 2026, up 47% in a single year. More than 45% of that spending is expected to go towards AI infrastructure. Goldman Sachs estimates global AI investment could exceed $1 trillion in 2026 alone, with U.S. hyperscalers accounting for roughly $800 billion of capital expenditure. And the spending is accelerating. Google has raised its 2026 capital expenditure forecast to as much as $205 billion. Meta expects to spend up to $145 billion, and Microsoft and Amazon, they are also committing enormous sums to AI infrastructure. There is now roughly $3 trillion of additional AI-related infrastructure commitments sitting off the balance sheets of major technology companies, according to Morgan Stanley analysis cited by Axios. And that is what is ultimately at stake here. The industry needs AI to deliver enormous productivity gains to justify this unprecedented capital deployment. If AI delivers, it could become one of the biggest productivity revolutions in history. But if monetization fails to keep pace with spending, companies could face falling cash flows, stranded data center assets, weaker returns, and pressure from investors. Reuters estimates that by 2027, major hyperscalers could collectively be spending more on capital expenditure than they generate in free cash flow. So Bill Gates' warning is ultimately about more than artificial intelligence. It is about a technology race where the economic incentives they are pushing companies to go faster, precisely when governments are being asked to slow down and assess the consequences. And for more on this, we earlier spoke to Adrian Moss, tech journalist and broadcaster, and this is what he had to say to us. Let's listen in.
I think they're very much legitimate concerns. And it's not just AI. The world has been automating for decades. So if you go into almost any factory and compare it to a factory of the 50s, most, certainly in the developed world, are pretty empty. And employment rates have been falling. And that's one of the reasons we've seen an increase in populist governments. And AI is very much accelerating that. The big change, though, will happen when, and we don't know when, AI goes from things like large language models to what's called general intelligence. In other words, something that solves the sort of problems that we can solve.